Aloha and welcome to the Bear Woznick Adventure. I'm your adventure guide, Bear Woznick, coming to you from beautiful Waikiki Beach. We have a beautiful south swell coming around Diamond Head this morning. Right after the show, I'm going to get out there and get a couple waves in. Just want to invite everybody to when you come to Waikiki, uh, get on our website, schoolofmanliness.com, fill out a contact form. Maybe we can go to Mass in the morning, have a cup of coffee. We love to see who the tide sweeps in from time to time. We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick Adventure.
Welcome to the Bear Woznick Adventure. Kickstart that engine and roll thunder with the pack. Explore the grittiness of manly spirituality. Gain traction in the virtues. Soup up your spiritual engine by turning adversity into adventure. Now here's Bear Woznick. Let's ride.
Aloha, welcome back to the Bear Woznick Adventure. We have as our guest today Brad Rushmore. He is a cowboy. He's a bull rider, formerly in the military, and now an aspiring politician, going to school at William and Mary. And he's also the ramrod for the School of Manliness. He's the one that's really put a lot of life into our School of Manliness with his posts, and also every Saturday morning sending out that week's curriculum for the men to go through, and so I wanted a chance for everyone to meet my friend Brad Rushmore. Aloha, Brad.
Aloha, Bear. Aloha.
So yeah, we want to hear your story first. So, did you ever find out what was wrong with you as far as why you wanted to be a bull rider? Did you go to counseling, or did they find out what it was? Maybe you got kicked in the head by a bull. Maybe that was the problem. That's where you went wrong.
Of course. No, I think most of the people that do it more than once that actually get serious into it, they say it's an addiction. They say they just can't stop. And I think that's what it was. My first ride was just I did in Massachusetts, 20 minutes away from the Patriots Stadium on Foxborough. And after that first ride, I got stepped on too. First ride, got stepped on my legs and my back. And I didn't quit from there. I just thought this was amazing, and I got to keep going. I got to keep going.
That's so important to have that first. Now you know what? Like there's a spot here called Waimea. It's a real big. It's a big wave spot, and I've never had a terrible wipeout there. You know, it only breaks if it's at least 24 feet, and because of that, I have a fear of that place more than if I had probably had a 2-minute hold down. You know, so you're getting on that bull, and then him getting on you, stepping on you.
Yeah.
It breaks a barrier, a fear barrier in a way, doesn't it?
Well, for sure. On my last ride too, as you know, yeah, I broke two of my vertebrae and had to relearn to walk. And I still want to get back to it. Still on the recovery, but I'm still getting back to it. So
no, I'm trying to convince you to do your bull riding on a surfboard. You came out here, about a month ago, and you and Dominic from Florida, also Cosentino, you guys really went to work. We got to work every morning on doing the trail guide for School of Manliness. But you didn't you kind of enjoy surfing?
yeah, that's I think that's going to be my next sport that I really fall into. It was, boxing, football, bull riding. I think surfing might be next for sure.
Well, at about 2 a.m. your time, every now and then I send you a video of a big wipeout, because I'm thinking the guy likes getting stepped on, so maybe he'll like this. And I send you those big wipeout, YouTubes. So I think maybe that would be good for you to to take your bull riding into the ocean. I think it'd be what a cool combination that would be.
They felt pretty similar too. Surfing those waves down in Waikiki, it felt pretty similar. Obviously not the same adrenaline, but the balance, it felt natural.
Yeah, yeah. You're in motion. You're not in charge. The wave's in charge. The bull's in charge. You don't really know what's going to happen, and you just got to keep yourself centered, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to react to what's coming to you and react fast too.
Yeah, yeah. You have to go. You can't force your will on the wave. You can't force your will on a bull.
Absolutely, yeah.
Have you ever read Father Bryce Lundgren's book, The Catholic Cowboy Way?
No, but I've a lot of his homilies and gospel readings for sure. I've listened to those.
On there, he talks about riding this bronc called life. Which is true, right? It's very much and you want to do bronc riding too, don't you? You talked about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's I think the other next sport to get into as well is some bronc riding.
Yeah. Well, and that is what life is. That is what life is like. You got to get on, even if it throws you. You got to get on, and then you got to let it go where it wants to go. You don't direct a where you don't have reins on a bull to direct him. And on a bronc, you're just holding on. What do you do on a bronc? Do you have reins on a bronc?
Yeah, you got one rope that you're holding on to that's attached to the halter, I think, or the bridle
Yeah,
up there,
yeah.
and then so yeah, your other hand, just like in bull riding, is loose as well.
It has to be
But
free.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like you're yelling out help. To the.
absolutely.
I remember after a big wipeout once, I never understood that I was vulnerable in the ocean until this particular day in a place called Rincon in California, the day the pier at Ventura C Street was destroyed. So it's probably 30 years ago. And boulders were being rolled around on the rocks. But I thought, it's just water. And I paddled out and I paddled and I paddled and I paddled and I paddled and wave after wave kind of kept crushing me. And finally I made it out, past the brakes. And then I realized, no, you haven't, because here comes the rogue set now. And it was too big for me to paddle past and it was just going to pound me. So I just turned towards shore and I made a big mistake. I yelled out, Jesus, which meant I had no breath. I expelled all my breath right when it exploded on me. And that's a lot like I think that's a lot like life, but you got to get out, you got to get on the bronc, you got to get on the bull, you got to ride.
There's a old Taoist saying, I think it's from the Tao Te Ching, but it says falling down isn't failure, but staying down is. And then the
Mm,
rodeo, a good saying is just cowboy up. When you get knocked down, you
mm.
just gotta get back up, cowboy up.
Well, let's talk about let's go back into your story. So I know your father, really admire him very much. He's a cowboy. Not that he wears a cowboy hat, but in my definition of what a cowboy is, he's definitely a cowboy, and he works a lot in the School of Manliness with us too. But can you tell us about your personal journey of faith?
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up, and then now into my adult life, I've moved around a lot. So I've never had, I suppose, a home, like permanent place to live. Just because we moved around, my dad getting new jobs and whatnot, and then joining the army right out of high school because I didn't want to go to college. I didn't think I wanted to go to school, so I joined the army from there. Um, when I joined the army, my faith it slipped a bit. I still went to church, but I wasn't hanging around the best influences and kind of got sucked into that enlisted men mentality. But then I joined the Knights of Columbus at the St. Patrick's Cathedral in El Paso, Texas. And I
Oh,
think
you were
that's
in
what,
you were in El Paso?
yeah, that's where I was stationed was Fort Bliss.
Yeah.
But
I lived in Las Cruces for a couple of years, right
yeah,
outside of
yeah.
I worked in El Paso. Yeah. So you kind of got like a lot of people when they leave home, all of a sudden they kind of lose their bearings for a while. But you continue to go to mass every Sunday?
Yeah. Besides, when you're in the field or NTC or stuff like that, where you actually physically can't go, but I'd make it a point go to mass. But then once I found the Knights of Columbus and surrounded myself with better company, that's when I got much more serious in the faith for sure, for sure.
It's something about being in the company of other men that are fellowship. You think about Peter and the apostles that were fishermen, they're all fellows in the same ship. It's like when you get in a foxhole or you get in certain situations with other men, um, you become tight, and there's kind of an encouragement just by how the other men are living their lives. How did they have a special program there now too, don't they? In the Knights of Columbus that helps people go deeper in their faith,
Um,
or was it
I'm
just
not
the company
sure.
of men, just being with the other men?
I think so. That was yeah, just volunteering at church, or there were a lot of other volunteering things that we did, helping with the bishop, or there were a lot of immigration camps too when the El Paso diocese set up some of those. So we worked with the Red Cross and did some work there, stuff like that, or helped out
Wow.
with some orphanages doing some donation type stuff. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So we're talking with Brad Rushmore. He is we call him the ramrod for the School of Manliness.com, where you can maybe you can well, when we come back, let's talk a little bit about that too. But we invite you to check out the School of Manliness.com. We have a non-Facebook community of men and also a school that in the non-Facebook community, people share their thoughts and their kind of YouTube moments and their encouragements and challenges. And we get to know each other. We become a brotherhood of men, just much like what Brad was talking about with the Knights of Columbus. And then also we have the school, which is you get a curriculum every Saturday morning that you go through as far as the School of Manliness. And fathers, it's a great way to lead your sons along a discussion path about what it means to grow as a man. We're talking with Brad Rushmore. We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick adventure. Schoolofmanliness.com is a place for men of grit and grace to join together, to inspire, to encourage, and to challenge each other to grow in manly virtue. Members receive morning man meditations, a monthly curriculum that is rich with audio, video, and written content, and a trail guide to help you map out your new trajectory. Many of our members lead their sons through this same curriculum. Your membership gives you access to both the Man Cave, which is our non-Facebook type community, and the School of Manliness. At schoolofmanliness.com. Become a member at schoolofmanliness.com. Deep Adventure Ministries is grateful to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for underwriting the Bear Woznick adventure on EWTN. Notre Dame Federal Credit Union provides car loans, mortgages, SBA loans, and depository accounts nationwide, as well as 24-hour support. Go to deepadventure.com to find their link, or go to NotreDameFCU.com. Mahalo to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for making the Bear Woznick adventure possible. My newest book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone?, has hit the top 5 in Christian books for a good reason. It's because men are searching for traction and a trail guide to live out the unique calling and the gifts that they were born with, that each man individually is factory loaded with by God. Paul said, "Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, do all things in love." Finally, here is a book that talks with men the way men talk with each other. Just plain old straight shooting. By the way, Mama Bears, this is your chance to get this message to your men. Go to schoolofmanliness.com or anywhere books are sold. 12 Rules for Manliness. Where have all the cowboys gone?
This is a warning. The Bear Woznick adventure is dangerous. The radical change Bear challenges you to is not for wimps. Change this station now to a soft rock station before it's too late. You've been warned. Now, here is Bear Woznick.
Aloha, welcome back to the Bear Woznick adventure. I want to invite everybody to check out my book, 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? It's kind of like, as an author, there's always that one book you always wanted to write. And I've written a couple other books that I love, like I Love All My Children, but this book, 12 Rules for Manliness, it just really needed to be written. Where have all the cowboys gone? I guess I would say it's a book of grit and grace. That to me, man, it takes both. And this kind of helps you, though, when you read this book, it's like, in some ways, it's like I've been reading your mail, or it's like you're saying, yeah, I could have written this book, except for that it kind of crystallizes your thinking. It makes your thoughts a little bit more concrete about the path and direction you want for your life. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that book. We have with us today Brad Rushmore. He's former military, Army, flew drones, big old drones, and then is now going to William and Mary College, the oldest college in America. the original college in America, and is the ramrod for School of Manliness. So, Brad, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So then, tell us a little bit about your military. I mean, I know you can't tell us much, but these drones, you showed me a kind of a picture of one. It did not a close up, but they're big as airplanes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're big. They're about the size of a Cessna. Very complex. Like what everybody knows, the Predator drone that the Air Force has. The Army has its own version. I think it might be getting phased out now, but it was an interesting. I'm not good with computers. As you know, I'm not the best with that. Better with the
Really?
chainsaw or with
I think
cattle.
you're great with it. I think you're great with it.
Yeah, I guess fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But it was a interesting time. But what I enjoyed most in the Army was being an NCO and leading soldiers for sure. That's what I
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was obviously first a corporal, and then later, very end when I was getting out, because I actually got medically discharged for celiac disease, which which was a difficult time for sure. And then obviously transitioning out of the army was a bit hard, but I always enjoyed working with soldiers and leading by example, like your book, like we talk about in the Trail Guide, and how the book says is lead by example, as Jesus does with us, leading by example,
Mm,
the servant leadership for sure.
mm. And now, did you ever, when you were flying this drone, did you ever use the word oops?
No, yeah, there was certain things. Yeah, I said, "Oh, don't say this," or there was a big radio etiquette for sure. Yeah,
But you didn't use any other four-letter words accidentally when you pushed the wrong button or like, oh, there
oh, I'm
goes El
sure of it.
Paso.
I'm sure of it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's interesting how the military is so great at training young men. I know when I was with my son on his aircraft carrier he was stationed on, I was so impressed with the military bearing and the level and the depth of training. And I think that's why you're so perfect as the ramrod for the School of Manliness, because you know about leading men and the importance of developing good habits, and discipline and the knowledge of what you're trying to do. And whoever wrote a guidebook for what it means to be a man.
yeah. I'd say especially any young Catholic, maybe in high school or about the time of leaving home and whatnot. I'd say join the army, do either a 3 or 4 year contract just to build the discipline. And there's so many benefits that come from it, not just like the GI Bill or getting a Navy Federal credit card. No, I think there's some good soft skills like discipline and leadership that you get that prepares you for life.
I
Think
can
of how
say that.
many important people that were veterans, how many presidents and successful people were just did one contract or were generals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I saw a tremendous transition in my son, Jeremiah, my oldest son, who was in the Navy. But then you can take that same thing and you can look at uh, the I was really impressed with just everything had a way, yet they had a way to do everything. And it had been thought out for thousands of years, probably, by
for
military
sure.
men before. But there isn't a book like that that teaches men how to be men. And that's why I think this book, The 12 Rules for Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone, and our website that you're the ramrod of is so important.
Absolutely. Especially for young men. And there's a huge range of people in the man cave, fathers and sons alike. I think it's a great opportunity for men to work with their sons, fathers to work with their sons. And no matter what age you are, this is a perfect opportunity to be around like-minded Catholic men, some real men too. There's some real heavy hitters there in the man cave for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's cool. It's like what I like about it too is like we have the man cave. It's the non-Facebook community of men, and we have that monthly Zoom call which you organize, and you posting to the man cave regularly. And every Saturday morning, the men get that week's curriculum from the School of Manliness. Every morning, what I love is first thing in the morning, I look at my iPhone and I have a text from the man cave, and it's about a half a paragraph or a sentence or two from the Catholic Catechism. And it's really cool because we're working line by line through the whole catechism with those texts. And it really lets you do Lectio Divina. Like it's the first thing I do before I get out of bed in the morning. I'm reading that. So I have that time of kind of waking up and meditating on that passage. And you're the one that does all that. You get the morning text, you get the weekly email with that month's curriculum, that week's curriculum. People who go to schoolofmanliness.com, they can sign up for our newsletter and they get our show every Saturday morning. But the men who join the cave itself, then they get this curriculum. They become part of the man cave.
Absolutely. Yeah. They get 5 a.m., the catechism, about 2 or 3 sentences, and Saturday, the excerpts from your book or from Bryce Lundgren, or there's so much information there. And then, the man cave itself and the monthly man cave meetups. It's a great opportunity.
And the annual meetups too. And we all get together physically, usually in Florida. Well, there's one thing that I really want to see grow, and I've charged you with doing this, and you're doing such a great job, is I really want to see, because the man cave is just for the men that are 18 and over. But the School of Manliness, a father can get their son a login that just limits them to the school. And then the father can track their progress through the school, because every time they watch something or view something, it signs off that they've done it. And then the father can actually, on Saturday mornings, he gets that Saturday morning curriculum. He can go through it with his sons. And it's like it may be a video. It may be we talk about a certain virtue that we focus on, maybe on one of our TV shows, Long Ride Home. Or maybe it's a excerpt from Father Bryce Lundgren homily, or maybe it's a written content. But every Saturday morning, I just envision the men getting up an hour early before everybody else and going through this curriculum on Saturday mornings, and with their first cup of coffee, and maybe then going over it on Wednesday nights with their sons or something, to draw their sons, because it's so hard when you have sons. What did you do? How was everything at school? Good. What did you do? Oh, nothing. It's really hard to get that deeper conversation, and that school does that. And I just want to see that blow up. I want to see a lot of fathers doing that with their sons.
Absolutely. I think young Catholic men my age or my generation, what they really are looking for, mentors. That's what most of them are looking for. And I think this is a good way to work with your fathers work with their sons, to mentor them in the faith and to be a man, a Catholic man.
And we have men, honestly, in their 30s and 40s that were never fathered.
Absolutely.
And so in the man cave, we kind of father each other a little bit. We encourage each other. What my favorite thing to do is to find something in a young man, especially, or any man, that I see as admirable, and just to say to them, I'm proud of you. And I say those words probably at least once a day as I'm walking through Waikiki, and I see a young father with 2 children, and he's pushing the stroller with 2 kids in it, and the wife is following behind him, looking very tired. And I just say, you have a beautiful family. I'm so proud of you. And there's just that kind of fatherly, or like in Hawaii, everyone that's a little bit older than, maybe 10 or 20 years older than another person, is called uncle. And it's just called uncling. Every man needs uncles in their lives. And so we have men that have been so beat up in their lives, and they come to the man cave, and they might be 40 years old or older. And somehow there's a little bit of, I don't know if it's fathering or uncling or just the brotherhood, but they get that affirmation that they never received, from their dad. And even if you did receive it from your dad, you kind of need to hear it from an uncle too. You need that second witness. We're talking with Brad Rushmore, a man that I greatly respect. Over the years, I've always wanted to find someone who would take charge of the man cave and the School of Manliness and really bring it fully to life. And that's what Brad does for us. Brad, we'll be right back for another segment. This is the Bear Woznick Adventure. Go to schoolofmanliness.com and subscribe to our weekly email to receive video YouTube links of the Bear Woznick radio show, as well as the Spirit of Adventure with Bear and Cindy TV show, which, by the way, is filmed in the tropics, as well as our manly evangelistic YouTube shorts. Go to schoolofmanliness.com. People love our EWTN TV show, Long Ride Home with Bear Woznick. Thanks to you, the show has won 4 different Tally Awards. And now, instead of waiting each week for the next episode to air, you can actually binge watch our show and even share it with your friends when you go to deepadventure.com and join the Mama Bears or the Man Cave. Along with all the other benefits, you get total access to all the seasons of our aired episodes, plus instant access to episodes that won't even air for several months. Long Ride Home with Bear Woznick, a great way to communicate the gospel in a gritty enough way that even tough men will stop and watch at deepadventure.com.
Be the kind of man that when he gets out of bed in the morning, the devil says, "Oh no, he's up." Go to deepadventure.com and invite Bear to speak.
Aloha, welcome back to the Bear Woznick Adventure. Go to the School of Manliness.com and become a member of the Man Cave. We're talking with Brad Rushmore, who is a bull rider, a bull faller offer, a bull getting trampled on her, and is going to be a bronc rider, is now a surfer, formerly a drone flyer in the military, and he's the ramrod for the School of Manliness. So, Brad, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I really admired your help when you came out here about a month ago with Dominic Cosentino from Florida, and we rolled up our sleeves. We go down early in the morning. Describe what we were doing at five in the morning.
Oh, yeah, we were working on the trail guide for the amazing book, 12 Rules of Manliness, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? Making a trail guide for that book, asking questions, taking excerpts from that book, and asking some pretty heavy-hitting questions to really reflect upon your life as a Catholic man, for sure.
And there were big eyes just looking at us the whole time. Those weird-looking fish in the aquarium. We had two-story tall aquarium. I always say, if you've ever been swimming in the tropics, it's not the survival of the fittest. It's the survival of the weirdest. There's some weird fish. There's some beautiful ones too. But what are some of the rules? And when the questions that we ask aren't like, well, what do you think about this situation or that situation? It's more like, look inside, and what is God telling you about this area of your life? So, what are some of the areas? Are there certain things that kind of stuck with you more than others when we were going through that process?
Yeah. There's a lot of call to actions in there. Obviously, like riding for the brand, or Rule 3, riding for the brand, or let's see, or be a man of your word. That's another rule. There's a lot of call to actions of, well, look at your life, reflect on it, and then from there work on those things. Or like there's a part where you write your own creed, and then a couple questions later, you look back at that creed and you revise it. And I think the whole next chapter over, you look back at that creed again and revise it one more time.
Yeah, I love that, because it's like my dad used to say, men write in pencil, God writes in ink. So as you're going through the book, you're massaging your thoughts. Because describe what we mean by a creed.
Well, yeah, every man has to have some type of creed that you live by. Yeah, like in the Army, there's a few there's a few creeds and codes and ethics. There's the 7 core values, and
Well, what are they?
Soldier's
Do
Creed.
you remember them still?
I think I know those 7 values, but the Soldier's Creed, I probably couldn't say that. Even though you recite that every single day in basic training and all that.
Or the Boy Scouts have a creed.
Yeah.
To me, a creed is a 1 sentence or maybe 2 sentence statement of who you are and your mission in life. And everybody is called so uniquely. It's so interesting when men send us their creeds, how inspiring, but how unique they are. Have you sifted through your creed?
Just a bit. It's not totally fleshed out, but there's a lot in it.
Well, you've got the code. You've got and the code. Those are all the rules.
Yeah,
what
your
would you
code
say
is the rules, and yeah.
What is the essence of your creed?
Say listen more than I talk, because you learn a lot more when your mouth is shut. Respect is a big one. Loyalty is my top value right there of all the values that I have. Loyalty and integrity, honor and respect. But loyalty is that top one, because loyalty brings all the other values with it. I that's what I believe. If you have loyalty, all the other values come with.
It's kind of like we say, ride for the brand.
Absolutely, that's what it is. It's riding for that brand, riding
It's
for
a
the brand of God, the loyalty to the Lord to do His will. Thy will
yeah.
be done.
And what about people struggle sometimes being loyal to their parents because their parents may not necessarily be the best people in the world, but there's a certain loyalty to even the worst parent in terms of finding ways to honor them. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's if you can't be loyal to your parents, then I don't know how you're gonna be loyal to anything else, to anything
Mm-mm.
anything bigger than that.
Mm.
How are you gonna be loyal to a creed, a code to your country, if you can't be loyal to your parents and respect thy mother and father?
Yeah. It's the first commandment that comes with a promise too. If you honor your father and mother, you'll be blessed. And so many people, their parents aren't worthy of in so many ways, but the position of the fact that they gave birth to you is a pretty big deal, you know. Um, it's a really something that we need to reconcile with our parents. If there's been I don't know why I'm going here, but if there's been a break in that relationship, we need to forgive them. Maybe have a real honest conversation with them, maybe just once, but have a direct conversation with them about these are the areas that I could have really used you to be a different type of parent, but at the same time, always honoring them. I know one of my children, we have very different views on life, my daughter, but oh, does she honor me? And she calls me and just, hi, Dad, I'm on my way to work or something. So just, even though we may not agree on everything, she makes a point to honor me. And it really endears me. And I think it's the same thing. Your statement about loyalty is, it's a real cowboy thing, isn't it? As a
Absolutely,
bull rider.
absolutely. Yeah, that's the cowboy way is loyalty to that brand that you ride for. If you're taking
Mm.
wages from them, you got to be loyal to that brand, to the cattleman who's paying your wages. Because if you weren't, I mean, your word is all you have, and if you're not loyal, then nobody's going to
Mm.
trust you. Nobody's going to trust that word.
And you've
So,
been sending out the text from the catechism about the word and how
absolutely,
Christians aren't it's not a religion of the book, it's a religion of the word, and the word is living. The word of God
yeah.
is living. Well, what about when you were as a firefighter? This summer, you're not doing that, but
Mhm.
normally you're up in Montana firefighting. There's a certain loyalty to your brothers, right? When you're there when you're fighting fire, you got to believe in the guy next to you and watch out for him too.
Absolutely. I think that's because I've done a lot of different odd jobs since being out of the army. That job came because I was going up to college in University of Maine, and I dropped out because it was just hard being an older guy in college. Dropped out and moved to Montana, did wildfire. But those guys there that I worked with, there was such a good loyalty there because that's all you have when you're out up in the mountains, Montana, fighting these huge fires. I've come and run in with a couple of fires where I'm pretty lucky to be here right now, but you got to be loyal to those guys because those guys are going to be the ones that help you get out of sticky situations.
Hmm. And
Good
to and to
guys up
the
that way, yeah.
and to the a person that's in charge. If everybody just starts running, going crazy, doing their own thing, it can lead to disaster. The one who the Bible says Jesus said had the most faith of all was a Roman centurion. He believed in God. He was of God fear. Um, and Jesus said to him, he said, Jesus, my servant is sick. Will you heal him? And Jesus said, yeah, let's go. I'm on my way. Let's go do it. And he said, no, no, it's not necessary that you should come under my roof. Only speak the word and my servant will be healed. And then he said these words, for I am a man under authority. And he was a centurion. He had 100 men underneath him. And I say to one, go, and another goes, and he does it. Just speak the word and I'll be healed, because he understood that Jesus had ultimate authority. And that's part of that loyalty. But Jesus said he had such great faith because he understood authority. He understood loyalty. His men followed him because he followed the man above him. And so I think that doesn't loyalty have an awful lot to do with not just with your brothers, but a loyalty to like you said, the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, obviously in the Army, there's a hierarchy of leadership, and you never want to hear your leader complaining about the guy in charge of them. That's toxic. And
Mm.
that centurion had servant leadership. I think that's the best way to
Ah.
lead is you serve the people you are leading. It's not the other way
Mm.
around. They're not there to serve you. You're there to serve them. A leader does eat last. He lets his followers, his people, eat before he does.
Mm.
And that's,
Like,
especially, yeah, yeah,
yeah. Well, the Pope is called, referred to as the servant of the servants of God, right? That's leadership.
yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
amazing.
leadership. Yeah, so he'll feed his horses, make sure his men are fed, and then he takes care of himself. He doesn't have the men set up his nice palatial tent and then in the middle of a fire, like when you were fighting, forest fires. But there's a loyalty among friends too. And it was I think it was David that said something about he was betrayed by a friend. And in the Psalms he says, "But it wasn't my enemy, it was you, my trusted friend, who betrayed me." And there's a real betrayal. Sometimes it's not overt among friends, but there's a not making that phone call, not being there when you need them, you know. But when you have friends that are loyal to you, that you can call at 4 a.m. and they'll be there for you. That's real brotherhood, and I think that's what we're building in the School of Manliness.
Absolutely. There's some great brotherhood in that school of manliness. There's some guys that, yeah, I can just call up and talk to. There's some great guys in there, and that's what we need. That's what we as young Catholic men need is brotherhood. We need to stick together, especially in these times now where manliness is in Catholicism or organized religion is under attack.
Mm.
Yeah,
We're talking with Brad Rushmore. He is the ramrod for the School of Manliness, and you can become a member of the School of Manliness.com. By ramrod, gave him that name because it's a cowboy term. And you know what? The Knights of Columbus have already cornered knights. And Doug Barry's already cornered the thought about more of the military approach to Christianity. He does a great job using that as an analogy. But we got cowboys as our kind of symbol of what it means to be a Catholic man. And Brad is a bull rider, so what better person to have as our ramrod for the School of Manliness? We'll be right back with more of the Bear Woznick adventure. Deep Adventure Ministries is grateful to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for underwriting the Bear Woznick adventure on EWTN. Notre Dame Federal Credit Union provides car loans, mortgages, SBA loans, and depository accounts nationwide, as well as 24-hour support. Go to deepadventure.com to find their link, or go to NotreDameFCU.com. Mahalo to Notre Dame Federal Credit Union for making the Bear Woznick adventure possible. Announcing Spirit Adventure TV with Bear and Cindy. So many people, especially you mama bears, tell us we want more of Bear and Cindy together. Well, we're happy to announce our website, spiritofadventuretv.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Bear Woznick Spirit of Adventure, where you can watch Spirit of Adventure TV with Bear and Cindy. Join us where we live in the Hawaiian Islands or where we sail our boat, the Spirit of Adventure, in the Caribbean. Experience both adventure and serenity with us as we share our life together, as well as the joy and the wisdom of our faith. Go to spiritofadventuretv.com to find out more and subscribe on YouTube to Bear Woznick Spirit of Adventure. And join us, Spirit of Adventure, with Bear and Cindy.
Are you still listening? I thought we warned you to change to an easy listening station. Well, you asked for it. Here is more of the Bear Woznick adventure.
Aloha, welcome to the Bear Woznick adventure. You know why we call it the Bear Woznick adventure is because we're all on an adventure. And this just happens to be mine. And part of my adventure is getting to meet great people. And there's a young man that, I've been trying for years to find the right person to help lead the School of Manliness. And then Bill Rushmore, my friend, said, well, my son, And what better commendation than that? And so Brad Rushmore is about, I guess you're about 30 years old. Is that about right?
25,
29,
25.
25, and you've already been in the military. You're going to William and Mary College. You're a bull rider. Slow down a little bit. But no, you're done so great. You're so faithful in what you've done, and you've really brought the man cave to life. What's another one of the rules that we talked about when you were here and we were working on the trail guide that's going to be a companion to the 12 rules for manliness? What's another one of the rules that kind of jumped out at you?
Rule 3, for sure, be a man of your word. Since
Mm.
we just talked about riding for the brand, one that goes absolute hand in hand is be a man of your word. And that's rule 3.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
Well, here's a little excerpt from the book. The world needs men who keep their word. So this is from your book, 12 Rules of Manliness. But yeah, the world needs men who keep their word. And more than that, who keeps God's word. Never break your word to a kid. Not only can it break his heart, but it teaches him not to trust and not to be trustworthy. Um, I think that's important because obviously in Our Father, thy will be done. Every time we say the Our Father in church or in a rosary, we're saying we're going to do the Lord's will. And if you don't, well, you just broke that promise to God right there. You
And to
didn't keep your
yourself,
word.
and to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest sin of all, maybe, well, not the biggest, but one of the biggest sins is to make a commitment and then not follow it. You're making a promise to yourself to do something and not do it. There's nothing that weakens a man more than that.
Absolutely. So I think another good one. So every man must take stock of himself and realize that in some way or another he is a leader. You do not know who is watching you, learning from you in a sense, and following you. And that's page 40, and that kind of goes hand in hand. If you're not keeping your word, then the people around you don't want to either. So, especially if you're a father, your sons and daughters are going to think it's all right to lie.
And
As Jesus was an example, we've got to be an example as well to our fellow man around us.
everyone's leading. It's just where are you leading people to? Everybody
Absolutely.
sees, in some sense, oh, I see where he's going. I'm going to take that easy way too. I'm going to take the slovenly way or the easy way, not the hard way. My mother used to say something about how do you discern God's will? So if you got a choice between two roads, take the hard one. That's probably it. So
Yeah.
making that choice to do the hard thing. What about physical fitness in the book? We talk about fitness to witness.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll say one thing before that,
Yeah.
going off of what you just said. Somebody once said, my good buddy said, when has the easy way ever been the right way? And then so leading
Ooh.
into fitness, when has sitting on the couch, just eating potato chips been the right way? It never has
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
And you don't have to just be in the gym lifting weights all the time. While that's important, there's so many different ways to work out. You go for walks. Walking's amazing. You burn the same amount of calories walking 2 miles versus running 2 miles. There's so many. You
Yeah.
can go pickleball. It's what is huge right now with people my age and old people. So pickleball is even that's a fitness. Any way that you can stay active, we owe it to God. He made ourselves in his likeness. So to let your body go, I see it almost as a disrespect.
Because we're
So
Imago Dei, we're made in God's image in the sense of, just think how so much delight God took in the human body that he became a human. It says a
yeah,
lot. But people ask me,
absolutely.
well, most of the men, when they join the cave, they immediately get on a fitness regimen.
Mhm.
We usually recommend the low carbohydrate approach to eating. Keep your carbs below 25 grams a day. And then you have to have a goal, for me, I have, it may be this week, it's my time in the water, surfing or swimming but everything I gear towards is the 10,000 steps. Like my watch, when I go surfing, it gives me credit for it as steps, treading water, not so much, but my cardio, my calorie burn is being logged by the heartbeat rate. So every day to do that 10,000 steps. And here's the thing. it takes motivation to do that, but it only takes 30 days of motivation. And after that, it's a
Absolutely.
habit. Then after that, it's a habit. The catechism says that virtue is a habit. It's a habitual way of doing something. If you want to, it's a superpower. Once you've done that daily walk every morning at 9:30, take your morning coffee break at 10:30 and do a walk instead of sitting down having a donut and coffee. Once you've done that for 30 days, it's a superpower. It takes care of itself. Your body reminds you, hey, like a dog saying, take me for a walk. So one of the first things that men do when they come to the man cave is they get fit. And people go, well, how do I get motivated? Well, do you want to be a burden to your family? Do you want to die young? Do you want to be feeble? Do you want to come home at the end of the day as a young father and not have the energy to teach your kid how to play catch? Or are you going to tell them to go do something and get instead of go? When you discipline them, are you going to yell at them because you're too lazy to go walk over there and have a talk with them? So fitness is essential for a man. And then beyond that, we talk about too learning how to fight. What do you think about that? That men need to know how to protect themselves and their family, have a plan for it.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing, amazing thing to do. So I boxed for about 3.5, almost 4 years, and I started the boxing team or boxing club up at University of Maine before I left there. But I mean, it's so important because you never know what's going to happen, especially as a man. You have to provide and protect your family. And if you can't fight, and it doesn't have to be boxing or MMA or it's something
Something.
where you can defend yourself.
Yeah, it's like if you can't defend if you get taken out of the picture, if you get messed up physically because you weren't trained in how to fight, or worse yet, you die. Um, it takes out your family. You can't think of, well, I'll protect my family. You got to first protect yourself so that you can protect your family. If you get taken out, you're not going to be able to provide or protect for them. So, I've trained in combative arts. For quite a while, I've taught them. Um, and Doug Barry, I love hanging around with Doug Barry because he and I instinctually, when we go sit in a restaurant, we instinctually look for the alpha chair, where I can see what danger might be coming. But when I'm with him, I don't necessarily need it because he's got my back, I've got his back. But there's just this kind of awareness of danger and the cluelessness you see of young men walking down the street, walking across the street, looking at their phone. They're not aware of any danger. There's so many people that look like victims now walking down the street. So a man needs to be physically fit. And so often the way I would win a fight in training would just be cardio. I could outlast them cardio and then just squash them, get them on the ground and squash them. So the fitness part, most fights last 1 or 2 or 3 minutes because one of the guys doesn't have the stamina. So it's good. Boxing is a great. It's so interesting how most men don't know how far their punch will reach.
Yeah.
You
There
know,
was a there was a
yeah, go
good
ahead.
I had a good boxing coach and he taught us this. We'd stand right by the wall and we punch the wall. We're trying not to, but it was an exercise of what is my reach? How could I decide where my
Yeah,
reach is? And if you messed up, you're
yeah,
punching the wall. So you want just
yeah.
enough where you're not hitting the wall. You don't want to
And
be
you
too
want to
far away.
and you want to hit in a way that you don't lose your balance. That
Absolutely.
you're ready for the next punch to come. It's like every jab, punch, hook, or uppercut is setting up the next thing.
Yeah.
And the same thing with martial arts. Do you know how to do a roundhouse kick? Do you know how to do a front snap kick? Do you know how to do a back mule kick? Every man should teach his sons how to fight.
Yeah.
And they,
And yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, these sports, they're not like, I don't know, looking inwardly or outward looking in. People say, oh, they're brutish or violent, but they're not. They're boxing, they say, is a sweet science. There's so much that goes
Yes,
into it. It's
it's a
it is yeah.
science.
It's a science, and I think an art to a certain extent, but
Yeah, oh,
they're
it's an art.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah, it's
sure.
it's and I learned like my tandem surfing skills came from my martial arts skills because the body mechanics is so minuscule what will work and won't work. Like one of my favorite things to do is to knife fight with a training tool, of course, but Someone attacked me once. I had them attack me during a men's conference. I was teaching them how Jesus staged the fight up on Calvary, which is what you do as a martial artist. You stage the fight. So you may give them a target, so you kind of know where the knife's gonna strike. Right? You give them an opening, so you kind of know that's probably where they're going to strike me, and you know where the strike's coming from. It's not going to come from their head or their two hands and two legs. It's going to come from that knife. So you really got the advantage. And he attacked me, and then I used his energy to pull him through, and then did a wrist throw where the knife cut his neck, and then he went flying across the room with very little effort. All of his own energy did it to himself. And then his gun went flying out of his pocket. This is Florida, right? But I use it as an illustration of how Jesus staged the fight on Calvary. He set up the fight, and Satan's weapon, his knife was death. And Jesus, as we say in the Mass, dying you destroyed death, rising you restored life. So he used his enemy's energy and weapon against him. He staged the fight, gave him the opening on the cross, and then devastated him. So it's been a great conversation with you. We're going to have you on the show again. We're talking with our friend Brad Rushmore, who's the ramrod for the School of Manliness. So come join us, schoolofmanliness.com. You can subscribe to our email, but you got to actually join the cave to be part of the cave in the School of Manliness. Hey, Brad, you know what we say here? We say aloha when we end our show. Ha means breath, and aloha means to give breath, like Jesus did when he said, "My peace I give you, my peace I leave with you." Or like when God breathed into Adam and he became a living soul. So thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Aloha and cowboy up, Bear.
Cowboy up. Until next week, may the breath of the Holy Spirit aloha you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thanks for listening to the Bear Woznick Adventure. Find more manly conversation at the Bear Woznick Deep Adventure YouTube channel. Subscribe and ring the bell.